actually wanted to make a card that had a little bit of more of a spring color palette, but what was really the main inspiration was this amazing tissue paper. I love this tissue paper. It has kind of like a succulent feel to it, and honestly, when I was first designing this card, I really wanted to use suede paper, and I was so excited. The color I chose then was discontinued, so I decided to go in a completely different direction. So here we go. So for this card, what we're going to do is you actually have these 3 pieces of white paper that you'll probably notice the back is a sticker. And the back side is actually what we're going to be sticking the tissue paper on. So what we're going to do here, we're going to start with our large piece. We're going to peel off this layer of adhesive here, or the film rather, that's holding the adhesive in place. So this is sticky. And we are going to take our tissue paper and put it print side down. Then we're going to take our design here and we're just going to stick that right down there like so, our little sticky paper, and stick it right on the design. So now our design actually stands out, because if you'll notice, the tissue paper is translucent, so when you put it on a dark paper it really kind of falls into it, but when you have it on the white paper you can really see it really pops, and that's really what we're going for. So I'm going to go ahead and take my scissors here. I'm going to trim this so that there's probably about 1/4 of an inch border on all 4 sides here, and then I'm going to take my double-sided tape and put it on all 4 sides of my white cardstock that's on the inside here. I'm going to use my green sheet as my backing piece so you can actually see what I'm doing. Double-sided tape is going just right along the edge of this white cardstock, so that way when we fold our tissue paper over, it will actually stick to the adhesive there. Okay, so like this on all 4 sides. In case you're wondering how I got the adhesive to stick to one side of the cardstock, I actually used 2-inch wide, I used 2-inch wide double-sided tape, and then I just trimmed out the piece of cardstock so that way the pieces became giant stickers. Okay, so now that this is sticky on all 4 sides, I'm actually gonna, I could take my tissue and just fold it over, but I'm actually going to do it by leaning up against the edge of the paper and folding it over like that. That way it sticks directly onto it. So I don't know if you saw how I did that there, but I'm just gonna kind of fold on that edge. That way I get a nice crisp flat edge on one side, and then that way it kind of encourages me to just bring that over to the back side and just stick it to the double-sided tape. Look how crisp that is. And then this is the final one. Isn't that nice? And it just makes it look so clean and really, really beautiful, and it's really perfect. If you have any of these little edges that have pulled over from the tissue, you can just take a pair of scissors and trim those off. Okay? Keep in mind, your backside might be a little bit sticky, so be aware of that. All right, now we're going to do the same thing with these 2 little pieces. All right, so again, peel off the film. Film only, not the paper. I'm going to stick one on one side here. I know that you guys have too much tissue paper in your little kit, but at least then you'll see that, you know, if you mess up or something, you'll have more to work with here. Or maybe you want to use some tissue for a different project. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and once again, I'm going to give myself probably about 1/4 inch border on all 4 sides. If it's less than that or more than that, it's okay. You just don't want it to be hanging off at the edge once we're done doing that technique that we were doing. Right. And obviously my cuts are not perfect, but it doesn't really matter because they're not really going to be seen. Actually, they will not be seen at all, so it will be okay. All right, there we go. All right, so this is all covered. Just tuck off to the side. Okay, there we are. So once again, I put double-sided tape on the back side of this. I'm just going to do 2 strips here right along the edge of my white cardstock. All right, and now I'm going to fold these over. I'm going to fold this guy over, and then I'm going to do that technique we were just talking about where I kind of grab the edge and just fold it over like so. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay, there we are. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing over here. Again, I'm just going to fold my ends in because I can do that with my fingers easily. And then fold that down, catch the edge there, and we'll do the same thing here. Okay, great. All right, and this would be a great time if anything needs to be trimmed. You can now trim this if you have those little edges that are kind of sticking out. That would be a great time to trim those off. Okay. All right, now that we have our bits and pieces, now it's time to put our card together. And I just realized I'm missing a tiny little ribbon. Where did the ribbon go? I had it earlier. And I have to go cut myself a piece. Hold on, friends. of course it was on the floor. That's fun. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do here to put our card together, we're going to take our card base, we're going to fold it in half, and then this front piece is going to fold back, and you're going to see a little score line right there in the middle, and that's going to bring that back. Okay. So you end up with a fold that kind of looks like this. All right. So when you open that up, then you can get the double layer. Okay. So this piece here, we're going to put double-sided tape on the back side on all 4 sides. And then we're going to stick that onto this first panel here. So I'm just going to show this to you. This little first panel here, this is going to match up on the top and flush with the bottom as well. So it should fit perfectly. Okay. Then, and so when you close that, you're going to see there's about 1/8 of an inch border on the left and right there. Okay, but none on the top or on the bottom. Then you have your twine, and there's about 1 yard of twine here, and this is dark green. So I'm going to start by kind of holding that so that the twine kind of goes to the bottom, and I'm going to wrap it around my card. I'm going to bring that around. I'm kind of going slightly left and right so that it's a little bit splayed out there. Now to tie this, I tie it 1 time in a knot, and then I take one of my little tails and I tuck it underneath the grouping here, and then I tie it into a second knot. Okay? All right, so when you do that, you're going to end up with your focal point being here, and you have these kind of splayed out. Excuse me, have a little sneeze. Okay, now I'm going to take my little tails, I'm going to trim those down. Make sure your knot is nice and tight. Okay, so now we have this cute little blush colored ribbon, which actually pairs really nicely with this kind of rose color in the background here. So you can tie a knot around, tie your bow around this if you want. Personally, I'm just going to tie a bow. Whoops, slipped out from under my finger there. Okay, and I like to kind of hold my 2 little bows up here in my finger and my pointer finger, and then I have these other little tails kind of down here a little bit, and I kind of hold between my finger and my thumb down here. Okay, and then that way you can kind of arrange this a little bit. You can kind of pull on that. All right, so that way you can kind of get your bow perfect. I'm going to trim my little tails a little bit here. I'm going to put double-sided tape right in the middle. Whoops. You might also use like a little glue dot or something. And then I'm going to stick my bow directly onto that. That way our ribbon creates this focal point, and then you have this cute little bow, and that will be the front little panel. The second panel here is going to be the one that says thinking of you. Now, if you're like, I actually want a birthday card, you can flip that over and stamp a happy birthday sentiment, no problem, and that would be perfect. I like the thinking of you because it could be for sympathy, it could be, maybe you're just wanting to send a nice card just because. And I'm going to just show you on this panel, I'm going to fold this back so you can see just this little area here. When you lay this down, you're going to have an even border on all 4 sides in this one little panel area, okay? And I would say that it's probably about 1/8 of an inch border on all 4 sides. Okay, so you can see that. Okay, all right, so you have panel 1, panel 2. Now we're working on this this inside page here, okay? On this piece here, we're gonna start out what we have. I'm gonna put double-sided tape on the back side of my little panel piece here. This is gonna go on here, but we're gonna put this really flush with the edge of the seam of the card there. Oops, I forgot to trim these. A little bit of something hanging out there. There we are. Okay, so flush right up against the edge, and it is going all the way to the top and bottom of this card. Okay, so that way the card can close, but then it's just going to have this even amount of space right here. There's probably about 1/8 of an inch. Oh, just realized that my little piece here is just slightly crooked. There we go. Okay, then we're going to have our other little piece, and this is going to go on the right side of our little panel here, and we're going to just leave about 1/8 of an inch open there. And that's going to be flush with the top and bottom. And then this last little piece, which is where you would write your message, that's going to go here right between those 2 pieces, and there's going to be an even amount of space on the top, bottom, left, and right. And that's going to be where you write your little information. Isn't that so cute? I just love that card. I love it, I love it, I love it. And I love the color palette. It's just perfect. All right, on to the next card.